All right, Nick, let's talk about the Cincinnati Bengals. This is the team who's had a very interesting offseason. I think they've made one of the most interesting moves this offseason in terms of something that they as a team usually don't do too often, and that is use the franchise tag on the player. And then they do use a franchise tag on the player. That usually means it's a one and done type of thing. They don't usually get a long term deal after that. We made a story on that a little while ago with the Bengals, but it seems as if this is a long-term play that paid off for the Bengals. Let's get into the article and we can talk more about it on the other side. This is from NBC Sports. It says Bengal receiver T. Higgins recently said he expects to be in Cincinnati this year. His comment likely means two things. First, and the most obviously, he won't be traded. Second, and perhaps less likely, he won't be signing a long-term deal that pays him at a level he desires. Given that Higgins is due to make $21.8 million this year, that's not a bad deal. While it's not the kind of generational payday that a great player will realize with the long-term deal, the $21.8 million compares favorably to the real numbers for high-end receivers. Without a long-term deal, Higgins will make great money for a year, then become a free agent. Even if the Bengals tag him again, he'll be set to make $26.16 million in 2025. Nick, I think this is a great move by the Bengals, a true long-term play. I'm curious what your thoughts are on this one, but Bengals fans, in the comment section below, we did this a little bit last week. I like the response, so I'm going to ask you, the draft is coming up, and I think there's a lot of interesting things floating around the draft sphere, but let's not talk about the good. Talk about the past bad picks the Bengals have made, and let us know in the comments below, who is the biggest bust the Bengals have ever drafted? Let us know in the comment section below. But Nick, what are your thoughts on T. Higgins and this update? It's been a long-term play.
Oh, 100%. And give a lot of credit to Tobin and the entire Bengals front office. We talked about it earlier this offseason when Higgins got placed with the franchise tag and he requested a trade. And the Bengals, they did the smart thing. They just shut up. The front office, they didn't say anything. They were very muted. They were very quiet. You had a lot of other teams that allowed their players to, potentially connect with other teams, maybe pursue trade opportunities. The Bengals, at least publicly, which is the right way to play it, were very quiet. They understood the emotions that go into this. They understand the competitive energy that's going on. And they're like, we're going to be quiet. We're going to let this play out over the days, the weeks, and the months. And eventually it will work out in our favor. And that's why the recent comments from Higgins saying he will play in Cincinnati this year, I think just proves the Bengals made the right move. But here's the other thing that makes this really incredible from Cincinnati. And Adam Schefter actually had a great post about this on Twitter or X. He said of the 9 players that were tagged, like Higgins was tagged, 7 signed long-term deals. Jaguars Josh Allen, 5 years, $150 million. Giants Brian Burns via trade, 5 years, $141 million. Titans L'Jarius Sneed trade, 4 years, $76.4 million. Ravens Justin Madubuike, 4 years, 98. Bears Jalen Johnson, 4 years, 76. Colts Michael Pittman, 3 years, 70. Patriots Kyle Duggar, 4 years, 58. And the 8, and that is Antoine Woodfield Jr., safety for Tampa. There's been reports going on for weeks that they're really close to a deal. It's all about the finer points now. So 8 of the 9 franchise taggees got big long-term deals, not team-friendly deals from their teams. Cincinnati is the only one to stick to their guns, to hold fast, hold firm, and win out in the end. And I think that is a great sign for the Bengals going forward. The temptation sometimes is, hey, listen, we love Higgins. He's a great player. He's a great member of this team. He's been a part of a lot of great moments over the past few years. Let's just throw money at him. That's like the way the Dallas Cowboys do it. You have one good year for Dallas, and we're going to give you top of the market money. You don't want to do that. That's what dumb teams do. That's what the Cleveland Browns do all the time. I'm sure Cincinnati fans see that, right? Look at the Deshaun Watson contract, for God's sakes, right? You don't want to be like that. You want to hold fast and stay firm to your principles, to what's guiding your long-term strategy. Not locking up and spending a lot of money on Higgins long-term is the right play. And the way they did it by keeping quiet in public was perfect as well. This was an incredible job by the Cincinnati front office.
Yeah, Nick, and I can see it now. The story is writing itself before our very eyes. Next offseason, Bengals let T. Higgins go. We see them sign some savvy veteran player in free agency for a lot less money. And then we come out with the story saying, look, X player plays at 80% of the play of T. Higgins for, 20% of the money that he signed for in free agency. And of Higgins, he is a great player, but as we also did a story on earlier this offseason as well, going through this whole saga, he is prone to injury. He is a guy who misses some time. So there's that aspect as well. I think T. Higgins is a phenomenal player, but I think the point being is that the Cincinnati Bengals have a lot of talent on this team, and the money just doesn't go that far. You can't play elite wide receiver money to both wide receivers. Jamar Chase is the clear choice here. I think you can sign a number 2 receiver for a lot less money than T. Higgins is demanding and get acceptable level of play out of that receiver, especially with a guy like Joe Burrow as your quarterback. So I think this is a great move by the Bengals for the long-term play. I think it's just showing they're being very smart. This is a much different Bengals team and front office than we have seen in the past. Ever since the arrival of Joe Burrow, this team has really started to turn around, and I love so far what we're seeing from the Bengals.
Well, and it's not just the Higgins move, right? You can see the Higgins decisions and how they played it. It's all part of a collective strategy that the Cincinnati front office is doing. If you look at their major moves, like I pulled out in front of me, you look at the fact they trade Joe Mixon, right? They move off a veteran running back early. You always want to do that with a running back, right? They signed Sheldon Rankins to a pretty solid deal. Tanner Hudson, Trent Erdwin, backup depth receiving options, very cheap 1-year deals. Trent Brown, 1-year team-friendly deal. Mike Gesicki, of course, a team-friendly deal, 1 year, $2.5 million. Zach Moss, only an $8 million deal over 2 years, right? You're talking about team-friendly, short-term kind of deals. That is the strategy for success in the National Football League when you have quarterback right, which they obviously do, when you have coach right, which I obviously do, and you have 1 or 2 key playmakers, which obviously with a guy like Jamar Chase, you obviously do. You sign 1-year, 2-year deals, team friendly, give yourself a lot of flexibility to adjust as need be. That's what the smart teams are doing, and Cincinnati is proving itself to be one of the smartest teams in football.
Data brokers sell your information to scammers, spammers, and anyone else who may want to target you. Your full name, email, home address, health records, even your relatives. It's all out there. That's why we use Aura, the sponsor of today's video. Aura shows us which data brokers are selling our information and automatically submits opt-out requests for us.
Cleaning up our information not only reduces the amount of that stupid spam we all get, but it also protects us from hackers who could use this information to help them access our social media accounts, bank accounts, and other sensitive information. Aura also does much more to protect us and our families from online threats. We also get features like antivirus protection, VPNs, password management, parental controls, identity theft insurance, and more without having to download several different apps. That's really key. One location, get all this great stuff. It's really easy to set up. And the best of all, we get everything at one affordable price.
And you may already have 1 or 2 of these tools already, but not having Aura is like locking the front door and leaving the back door wide open. Aura is always on doing the hard work to keep you safe so you can focus on other tasks and have peace of mind. We value our privacy and we value yours. You can go to aura.com/Saturday to start your 2-week free trial. Also, link below in the description. Again, aura.com/Saturday for your free 2-week trial.